This is a short video on troubleshooting using AirPods with Logic Pro to mix spatial audio. Logic Pro offers a really neat built-in feature to allow you to audition head tracking, that is, the listener rotating their head, and how that will affect your spatial audio mix. However, it always takes me about 10 minutes to get it working, so I thought I'd record this to help get up and running quicker, as there are quite a few things that can prevent it from working straight away, but most of them are fairly easy to fix. First of all, start by quitting Logic. Go to Applications, Utilities, and open up the Audio MIDI application. Select your AirPods, and you need to ensure that the format is set to 2 channels, 48 kHz. Very often, it will be in one channel, 24 kHz mode, which will cause audio sync errors in Logic, where your session might be at 48K, but your headphones are at 24K. When you try to change the format, you might find that it immediately changes itself back to 24K. This often happens when there are other applications accessing the AirPods. Bluetooth devices like AirPods have a limit on the amount of data they can send and receive. So, if you're using your AirPods as both a microphone and as headphones, the amount of data has to be shared between the two, and so the quality of the headphones is reduced to 24 kHz and set to mono. The way around this is to ensure that you don't have any applications open on your computer that are accessing the microphones on the AirPods. That could be Zoom, Microsoft Teams, WhatsApp, and of course Logic itself. Make sure that these applications aren't open or are set to use something else, for example your built-in microphone. If you use your AirPods for Zoom and other online things, you can select to use the built-in microphone of your laptop, and you'll start hearing much higher quality audio on your headphones. Once all the applications that are using the AirPods microphone are dealt with, you should now be able to select 2-channel 48K in the audio MIDI settings. You can now open up Logic and select your AirPods in Settings, Audio, Devices. Again, make sure that the input is set to something other than the AirPods, otherwise you'll have sync problems and mono sound in your AirPods. Assuming you've already set your session up with spatial audio turned on, click on the Atmos plugin in the mixer and make sure that the monitoring format is set to Apple Renderer. You can't use the AirPods head tracking feature with the Dolby renderer. Make sure the transport isn't in play when you swap between these, as otherwise you won't hear it activate. Head tracking will only start working once you press stop and restart the transport. In the most recent release of Logic Pro, Apple changed the menu to a set of buttons, which makes it harder to understand what is going on, I think. This left-hand button turns on head tracking for spatial audio. When it's blue like this, head tracking is on. If the icon is greyed out, then head tracking still isn't available to use. Another thing to check is in System Settings, Accessibility, Audio, and ensure that spatial audio follows head movements is turned on, and that stereo audio with mono is turned off. Another useful troubleshooting step is to open up Apple's Music app and to play some spatial audio off that, to test that that application can send spatialized audio to your AirPods and isolate whether the problem is with your AirPods or with Logic Pro. Sometimes playing spatial audio from the Music app can kickstart the operating system into running spatial audio for Logic Pro 2. The 2 icons on the right here let you choose between 2 binaural render modes, the one used by Apple Music and the one used by Apple TV. The little picture of a person with a tick allows you to turn personalized HRTF on and off. It's worth noting that the head tracking system doesn't actually know where your computer is relative to your head. Apple have never provided much information about how the system works, but it seems to assume that front center is wherever you've spent the most amount of time looking. The accelerometers in the AirPods are then used to detect when you move your head away from that position. Even when connected and working, I've had very intermittent experiences with the head tracking features. Sometimes I'm listening through a mix and it just stops head tracking halfway through. The fact that there's so little visual feedback in Logic Pro about what's going on doesn't help matters, and I've often wondered if I'm losing my sanity as I manically swivel my head around trying to see if it's working or not. You can now mix using wired AirPod Max headphones, which should eliminate some of the potential unreliability and data rate issues of using Bluetooth, but I've not tried it yet to see if it's significantly better or not. If you've got any tips you found to make this method work better, please put them in the comments below.